Hi guys, Adam here, and welcome back to the Football Town Show. It's not a full podcast this week, as me and Jacek were both quite ill, but we have a quick fire question round with ArsenKve. Many will remember Arsen, of course, from our FC Barcelona podcast a few weeks ago, and we're going over Barça again, not in as much depth, but more in a quick fire question round. So we have 10 questions. Many can be answered with a yes or no, or in general, just with a very short and precise answer. But yeah, it'll definitely be a good debate nonetheless. So Arsen, starting with the first question, what is the biggest La Masia flop of the past decade?
Oh, that's a tough question. Oh my god. I would say maybe De La Feu. I think there was like a lot of expectations from him, and he was always seen as a big talent and didn't achieve that.
Okay, Arsen, that's a great pick. I will go with a word choice. I would go with Abel Ruiz because I think he was really a great talent at the under 17 level. Never really managed to transition this greatness from youth football to senior football. He's not doing great, sadly. I think he never really managed to become this pure number nine, this killer instinct. So his numbers in Portugal and right now in Girona are not the greatest, but I still remember him like at the age of 15, 16, a natural talent, number nine, but with all these great ball skills. So a really great prospect. But yeah, sadly, I don't think he. Well, he's still a legend of Spanish youth. He scored the most goals ever at the youth level. But yeah, at senior level, sadly, it doesn't look great.
Yeah, I think Abel Ruiz could be 29 years old, and I would still be surprised that he's not in the latest U21 Spain squad. I think he's kind of one of those eternally 21-year-old players somehow. I'm going to go with a winger as well here, and I'm going to go with Munir. Excellent footballer when he was coming through. Was, I would say, the star of the first Barcelona team to win the youth league. Truly, I mean, when you just think of Moroccan footballers, it's exactly what Munir was when he came through. A lot of flair, a lot of skillfulness, a lot of talent. Unfortunately, he's also, like many Moroccan footballers, never really taken that next step to turn it into long-lasting, tangible product. But purely as a joyful player to watch, I would say Munir should be amongst the selections in this category.
Yeah. And the second question, your favorite La Masia team of the past decade?
I think my most enjoyable team was with Paul Planas, coach, when he was the cadet B coach under 15, when the likes of Juan Hernandez was part of the team. I'm not sure, that's 2007 generation, I would say. So I think that was my favorite team to watch, as they were very dominant side at that level, conceding like 2 or 3 goals, scoring like 109 goals, which is usually kind of common, but with the way they played was incredible.
I'm not going to be original, and I'm not going to pretend as I am an insider who watched every Barcelona youth team in the past decade, but I'm going to go with the same choice. Like this 2007 generation is exceptional. Like of course Kubarsi and Yamal, but let's mention Quim Junient, Juan Hernandez, and the likes of these players. So all you Spanish internationals, all great prospects. So I think I won't go with the team, but with the generation, this 2007 generation. Of course, every age category in La Masia is exceptional. But yeah, so far, this 2007 generation proves to be exceptionally talented.
Yeah, I think we mentioned the 2008s as a little bit the golden generation, perhaps rising through La Masia at the moment. But I mean, to be honest, the combined 2007 2008 generation would be your real pristine age group, I would say. It's really a shame that we didn't get to Quim Juniet in the podcast a little bit more. An exceptional central midfielder, pretty much embodies everything you would think of in a La Masia player. I'm gonna go with Jacek here then and say also the 2007 age group. It just goes to show, of course, how many of those players were mentioned throughout our podcast. it kind of shows how much talent is in that age group. For the third question, then, and you may have even mentioned it here in your last answer, the best youth coach in La Masia over the past decade.
Ooh, I really like Paul Planas as the way he set up his teams is incredible. The way they play football, the way they break down teams is absolutely incredible. I would say he's the La Masia Barcelona DNA coach whenever you see his teams. So I'm definitely excited about him as a future under 19, maybe even Barca athletic coach in the near 3 or 4 or 5 years. And he's also very young, I think like only 30 years old. So he's definitely one of my favorite La Masia coaches at the moment.
And I will go with Garcia Pimienta. I think he's an underrated coach in Spain. He won the UEFA Youth League with not so talented side, and after some years, you can see that almost none of these players made it to a top level. Well, a big fan of him. A big fan. I was a big fan of his Las Palmas side last season, and yeah, even though out of the two, Real Betis and Sevilla, I prefer Real Betis. I really hope that Garcia Pimenta will be the guy who will bring glory to Sevilla, and he will finally make Sevilla a good side. Because let's be honest, good La Liga needs good Sevilla. So the fourth question: the most underrated current player in La Masia.
I would say maybe Genis Klua. I think it's very unknown. And he's playing for under 16s, and he's like that false number 9 who scores incredible amount of goals, which is kind of unusual because he also follows that Juan Hernandez roadmap, a midfielder converted into a false 9 that can also play as a winger. So I would say maybe him as most underrated ones and most unknown place in the academy at the moment.
I will pick Quim Junient. Just because we didn't talk about him in our main episode. And the second one, a player that I really like, is Xavi Espart. I think, yeah, nobody mentions him as a top talent, but I think he has a great future. I really enjoy watching him, and yeah, so Quim Junient and Xavi Espart from me.
I'll also go with one who we had on our short list for the episode but didn't get to mention, Landry Fare. He's not really the most exciting player, I don't think. He's a very, very simple player on the ball, but I think he has that kind of right back, right center back, and a back free model that can be really, really superb in European football for the near future. Okay, question number 5. This is a straightforward one in theory, but maybe not as simple as it seems. Who would you rather have, Adam Aznou or Alejandro Balde?
Wow, incredible question. I think for now it's say Alejandro Balde because at the moment he's more established. But I really like Adam Aznou, and he's top talent, and might overcome Alejandro Balde on that potential level, as he's an incredible player as well.
It's a really tough question, and as you said, I think Alejandro Balde is a safe option. But yeah, Adam Aznou potential is practically unlimited. Like he can be anyone he wants to be. So I will choose, yeah. So safe option Balde. But if you would put knife in my throat, I would say Aznou.
I guess I'm the tiebreaker here. I'll also say for me it's if I want to win a match tomorrow, I would say Alejandro Balde. But if I want the better player in 5 years, I would say Adam Aznou. And because we're a talent scouting show and we always go for long term potential, I'm gonna go with Adam Aznou here.
And the sixth question: the most disrespected La Masia graduates over the past decade.
I would say Eric Garcia. I think that first one that came to my mind as the amount of hate he kind of got is, I would say, over the top. It's not needed, understandable. You don't like the amount of hate he was receiving is unnecessary.
It's a really great pick. For me, it would be a guy who also got a lot of criticism, unnecessary criticism. It would be Marco Purea. And I mentioned Marco Purea quite often in our podcasts. Even though he's not my favorite or dream left back, I still think that some of this criticism, even hate, was really like it was too much. It was unnecessary, and he's much better than many people think.
Mark Cucurella is an excellent one. I wish I had picked him, to be honest, but I can't change now. I'm gonna go with who I also mentioned in the podcast, Mark Bartra. I think that Mark Bartra was a really, really excellent center back and still is a high quality center back. I mean, he isn't that pure defender. So when your team is losing, it's easy to get frustrated at Mark Bartra because he just is kind of this high fashion ball playing center back a lot of the times, especially at the beginning of his career when he came through at Barca and then moved to Dortmund. But I think he's having a very, very excellent career, and without the baggage of being kind of labeled as the here to Gerard Piqué and the next exceptional center back, I think we wouldn't think twice about Mark Bartra being an excellent center back who's made a lot out of his career. I believe you're on question 7 now, and we're doing another would you rather here. Would you rather have Victor Barbera or Marc Guiu?
Um, I would say Victor Barbera. I think he's more complete than Marc Guiu, and I think I would prefer that. Even though I like Marc Guiu, even though he left the club, he still follows me on Instagram. But I would say Victor Barbera still.
Okay, I'm gonna go a different way this time. I will pick Marc Guiu. Of course, he's not my dream number 9, but I really like his tenacity and work rate in pressing. Plus, he has everything that a good number 9 has. I don't think it was a good decision for him to go to Chelsea, and I think it can be costly in the coming years because he will lose lots of playing time. But yeah, I also like Barbera, but out of the two, slight winner would be Guiu.
I guess I'm the tiebreaker once again, and I promise it's not just because I need to get favorites from my boss here, but I will also go with Mark Gay. Mark Gay, I heard you're on Instagram as well, so if you want to follow the Football Talent Show, we're always happy to accept new followers. But I too would slightly prefer Mark Gay.
And we go to the eighth question, also a very complicated one. The most overrated La Masia graduate over the past decade.
That's a hard one because I don't know. A lot of players come to my mind, like Carlos Perez, Carlos Alenia, even though I liked him a lot. Maybe I would say Carlos Perez, as he made his debut for the first team, and it's kind of difficult to see, as he was kind of rated by some fans, but because of his great appearance out of nowhere, but I wouldn't rate him that highly at his youth stage.
Right? Because I didn't prepare myself for that, so I'm looking for players.
Me too, and that's why I was happy that I was going third. But
Okay,
I can jump in there because I found a player,
go
and
on.
I'm gonna go with Christian Tello. And I think people that really watch football maybe didn't rate Christian Tello that insanely highly. I think Tello at the end of the day is probably where I expected him to be also, so I don't think he was necessarily a big flop. But I think Tello did probably get too many minutes than he actually deserved when he broke through. I think that Barca maybe held on a bit too long with Tello, and I think wider European football also held on a bit too long with Christian Tello.
Okay, I wouldn't agree with Theo. I think he was a useful player. He was doing a decent job for Barca whenever he was getting minutes. Then he left, and his career went well, not really well. I will go with Sergi Canos. remember people telling me about Sergi Canos like he was the reincarnation of football greats. I never saw that. He's still a good player. He moved to Liverpool when he was very young. Right now in Valencia, a backup player for Valencia, so he's not having a great career. And I never really saw that spark of genius that many people were telling me he has.
Okay, question 9. We're in the home stretch here a little bit. The free players you regret La Masia allowing to leave in the past 10 years.
The first one you would already definitely know in Adam Aznou.
That's why we did free instead of one.
Yeah, the other two are definitely harder one. Whenever at the first time, I think Jandro Orellana, he was, well, his contract expired, and then there was rumors that he's not gonna stay. But then, like last minute, he was renewed and he stayed. And and he has been very unlucky with injuries, and I had hoped a lot of for him, and kind of sad that he left without getting like a chance at the first team. And the third one, remembered one, Dani Olmo, even though he returned, but still like a massive loss at the time. So yeah, even like you can mention Takefusa Kubo as well. That actually came to my mind, because of that FIFA ban that Barcelona received. So I would say, yeah, those 3 and 4.
Okay, I will go with not so obvious choices because of course Adam Aznou was a huge loss. I will go with three players that okay, their careers are not maybe they're not great at the moment, they're not at the top, but at the time when they left, I think it was a huge loss for La Masia. So the first one I will go with Pablo Moreno. So the let's say the new Aguero back then. Yeah, he's not doing good at all. He's making poor choices, but he was still a brilliant talent a few years back. The second one I would say is Sergio Gomez, so an extremely versatile left-footed player. He's having a decent career, so everything is fine with him. But yeah, he was probably a big loss. The third one, I would go with Adrian Bernabe. So another one who left for City. I really think that he is a genius of a player. He has a left foot that could tie a tie. Brilliant midfielder, versatile midfielder. He can play on the wings as well as a wide playmaker. He did very well for Parma last season in Serie B. He was brilliant in some games. I was watching Parma only for him basically. Yeah, this season he struggles with injuries. That's also his problem. But purely from the potential perspective, he was a huge talent.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna pick and choose a little bit between your guys' list. So from Jacek, I'm gonna take Sergio Gomez. One of those players I'm still devastated with Dortmund that they didn't produce better out of him. Him and Mika Marino, I thought they had absolute gems there and just refused to make anything of it. And then from Arsen, I'm gonna take Danny Olmo because you could have saved yourself a hell of a lot of money by not allowing him to leave or then re-signing him earlier. And I think I'm also gonna take Takefusa Kubo because even though I don't think Takefusa Kubo is necessarily an elite player, I would have really enjoyed watching him come through as a young talent at Barca. I think that would have just been incredible for both Barca and for Kubo, especially because Kubo probably would have come through at the time where Barca really needed a Kubo also.
Okay, so the last question: will there ever be a Lithuanian player at the level for FC Barcelona?
Um, for football, I don't think so. But for basketball, there are already Lithuanian basketball players in La Masia who are playing for Barcelona's basketball team. But for football, I don't think so in the near 4 or 5 years. I don't see it happening, even though we have some interesting players abroad like Vidas Ginaitis, who is playing in Italy. But in La Masia, I haven't heard even one being in Barcelona or La Masia for football. So don't see it happening, to be honest.
Yeah, just a preface there. We don't ask all of our guests if a Lithuanian player will be good enough for their club. Arsen is from Lithuania, so that's why we asked him that one.
And this is a tricky question because it asks, will there ever be a player? And I'm going to say yes, there will be a Lithuanian player at the level of FC Barcelona in maybe 50 years. But yeah, doubtful that during our lifetime, well, you guys are younger, but surely not during my lifetime, there will be a Barcelona level player in Lithuania. Although there are some players of Lithuanian origin like Rokas Pukstas that could be around that level one day.
I'm gonna go with by the time a Lithuanian player will be good enough for the Barca first team, football will no longer exist, and that's how we'll end our quick fire segment round. Arsen, it was a real pleasure to have you here. Why don't you let people know where they can find you on social medias?
Well, thanks for having me in the first place, and it was a very enjoyable time with you guys. So you can find me on X as my handle, ArsenKveFCB, also using the same handle on my YouTube and Instagram.